Okay, let's dive in. We're going to unpack this collection of recent crypto news you've shared with us.
Sounds good.
We've got a whole stack of headlines here, bits and pieces. And the idea for this deep dive is really to scan across them pretty quickly
Mm-hmm.
and just pull out the interesting stuff, get a snapshot of what's actually happening right now.
Yeah, it's a good way to see the different currents all flowing at once.
Exactly. It's not just one topic. We're looking across the whole landscape, projects, trading, even what institutions and governments might be thinking.
And what's really fascinating when you look at these kinds of varied items together,
Yeah.
it gives you that quick sense, doesn't it? All the different forces, the different activities shaping the market, like right now.
Totally. You see the big corporate moves, maybe,
Uh-huh.
and then down to like individual traders struggling. It's all in there.
It's all reflected in these snippets you sent over.
So first up, there's this headline. Polymarket leverages stablecoins for mainstream growth. Now, that headline itself sounds pretty interesting.
It does. It hints at, a prediction market, maybe trying something new with stablecoins to get broader adoption.
Right. But looking at the source material you actually provided.
Yeah, I saw that. The headline's there, but the actual article, the details behind it, they aren't in the specific batch you shared.
Ah, okay.
So maybe we should focus our deep dive on the bits where we do have the concrete info you sent so we can really, dig in properly.
Understood. Good point. Let's pivot then. Let's go to one where we have some solid details.
Mm-hmm.
This one's about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, of course.
Ah, Sailor.
Yeah.
Always watch closely.
The source specifically says he drops the hashtag Bitcoin tracker again. What's that about?
Yes, and right after that, the source suggests it signals another MicroStrategy BTC buy incoming.
Okay.
And this is a known thing, really. It's become sort of a pattern. Saylor removes the Bitcoin amount from his bio on X, or Twitter as it was, and very often, not long after, MicroStrategy announces another big Bitcoin purchase. It's like his little tell. A simple signal, maybe, but one the market definitely watches.
So people see it as an indicator, like they're gearing up for another buy.
Exactly. It suggests they're continuing that, very aggressive Bitcoin accumulation strategy they're known for.
Okay, so it's not just random speculation.
Mm.
It's based on what he's done before.
Mhm.
Makes sense with the hashtags, too. Hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag Michael Saylor, hashtag crypto news. It's like a whole category people follow.
Precisely. That's one layer, right? Corporate strategy playing out.
Okay, moving from corporate moves to maybe national strategy. There's this snippet about U.S. governmental interest.
Yes, this one's interesting. It says, Rep. Burchett proposes bill to establish a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve.
A U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah. It's a proposal, of course.
Yeah.
But it suggests government interest might be broadening, moving beyond just regulation.
You're thinking of Bitcoin as a strategic asset, like oil or gold reserves.
Potentially. That's the implication. It really makes you wonder why now. Is it a hedge? A geopolitical thing? Or just recognizing Bitcoin differently, perhaps as a sort of hard asset?
Wow. Establishing a strategic reserve. Even as just a proposal, that feels significant. What's the weight of something like that coming from a governmental level?
Well, it could signal a shift, couldn't it, how crypto's viewed higher up? Maybe less as just, retail speculation or something needing rules, and more like something potentially part of a national balance sheet or strategy.
That's a totally different perspective.
It's a very different kind of market signal compared to, say, MicroStrategy buying more, or what individuals are doing.
Fascinating. Okay, let's shift gears again. What about the market infrastructure? The plumbing needed for all this activity. There's news about the MEXC exchange.
Right, MEXC. The source mentions they've officially launched its new launchpad.
A launchpad. What's that typically?
Usually it's a platform on the exchange itself. It lets users get early access to new tokens, maybe participate in special trading events, things like that. And this one is featuring BTC to kick off BTC Trading Month.
So using Bitcoin to launch it.
Could just be a theme, a marketing push for the month. But it shows how exchanges are always trying to build new features, engage users, keep activity flowing, especially around the big assets like Bitcoin.
Makes sense. Keep things fresh. And speaking of the big players interfacing with crypto, there's this note about a Nasdaq filing. What's going on there?
Okay, so this says Nasdaq filed a Form 8K. That was with the SEC, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, back on June 2nd.
An 8K. That's for important unscheduled stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Significant events shareholders need to know about. And in this case, the filing is about a proposal to expand crypto ETF benchmark.
Expand a benchmark.
Yes, specifically for the Nasdaq Crypto Index US ETF. That's the NCIQ ticker.
Okay, so Nasdaq, a huge traditional finance name, is filing with the SEC about a crypto ETF benchmark. What does expanding the benchmark actually mean for that ETS or for people investing in it?
Well, the benchmark is basically the recipe the ETF follows, right? The index it tracks to decide what assets to hold and measure its performance against.
Got it.
So expanding it means they're proposing changes to that recipe. Maybe it could let the ETF include a wider range of crypto assets, or change how it weights the ones it already has, or just tweak the methodology somehow.
Adapting it.
It's all part of that ongoing process, really, trying to fit these newer crypto assets and products into the established frameworks of traditional finance, the regulations, the operations.
So another step maybe towards crypto becoming more standardized or easier to access through normal investment channels.
Could be seen that way, yeah.
Okay, so we've got corporate signals, potential government thinking, infrastructure builds. What about actual money moving? Big money. There's this detail about crypto whale activity.
Ah, yes, the whale watching part. The source gives some specific numbers here for an anonymous whale.
Anonymous, of course. What did they do?
This whale redeemed 10,708 ETH.
Wow, ETH. How much is that worth?
At the time, it was about $26.96, so yeah, nearly $27 million worth.
Okay, and where did it move from and to?
Redeemed from Lido, that's a big liquid staking platform, and then deposited to OKX, which is a major crypto exchange.
Okay, hold on. Nearly $27 million of Ether, pulled out of staking on Lido, put onto an exchange, OKX. What's the significance there? Why do people track that?
Well, moves this big, especially from these large anonymous holders, the whales, they get watched really closely because it's a lot of capital potentially shifting.
Right.
Taking ETH out of Lido means it's unlocked, basically. It's now potentially ready to be sold or maybe used for big trades on an exchange like OKX.
So it could mean they're about to sell.
It could. While $27 million isn't necessarily huge in the grand scheme of daily volume, a sudden large deposit onto an exchange like that, it can signal intent to sell or maybe deploy that capital in other ways. So traders watch these flows as potential clues about market sentiment or, incoming supply changes.
So these are the moments, the big shifts that can actually nudge the market, short term at least, a totally different scale than thinking about government reserves.
Exactly. It's tracking where the big money is flowing right now. That's key for understanding market dynamics, potential volatility.
Okay. And then finally, let's bring it right down to the individual level, which, like you said, can be a real contrast. There's this anecdote here about someone named James. Sounds like he's not having a good time trading.
No, it seems not. The source really highlights his struggle. It says he's losing money despite 40x BTC leverage.
40 times leverage. Wow.
Yeah. And it gets specific. He just lost again.
Yeah.
This time on a 40x BTC long position, hoping the price goes up.
And he lost.
Lost again. And now apparently, now he's short, but still can't win, trying the other direction, betting the price goes down, and still struggling. The hashtag say it all. Hashtag crypto trading, hashtag BTC, hashtag leverage.
Okay, 40x leverage. For anyone listening who might not be deep into trading, what does that actually mean? What's the risk there?
It means James is controlling a position, a bet on Bitcoin's price that's 40 times larger than his actual money, his margin that he put down.
40 times.
So the price moves his way, yeah, the gains get magnified massively. But if it moves just slightly against him, the losses are also magnified hugely. With 40x leverage, the price only needs to move, like 2.5% the wrong way?
Only 2.5%.
And potentially, his entire capital for that trade is gone, wiped out, liquidation.
Oof. So even though he's trying different strategies long, then short, and using this incredibly high leverage, he's still losing.
That really grounds things, doesn't it? Puts the risks into perspective, especially for individuals trying this stuff.
It absolutely does. It's a vital counterpoint, I think, to all the stories you hear about huge profits or easy money, high leverage trading, especially in crypto. It's incredibly difficult. And this snippet really illustrates that potential downside, the challenges that everyday people face trying to navigate these markets with, well, very aggressive tactics. Yeah. So, okay, looking back at everything you sent over, these varied snippets, we got Saylor's potential next move, a possible U.S. government strategic reserve idea, exchanges launching new platforms, Nasdaq filing with the SEC, a huge anonymous whale moving millions, and then James struggling with 40x leverage. It really does give you that quick kind of multi-layered feel for what's going on, doesn't it? All these different things happening at different levels in the crypto world right now.
Exactly. Each piece, though it seems separate, gives a glimpse into different players, different motivations, different dynamics, all happening at the same time. Scanning across them like this helps you see the market from, well, multiple angles at once.
Yeah, the big strategic picture, the plumbing, the actual flow of money, and then the individual reality on the ground.
The strategic, the infrastructural, the capital flow, and the personal experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered a fair bit of ground here in this deep dive. We've touched on these big institutional moves, potential government shifts, platform developments, significant money changing hands, and the sometimes harsh realities for individual traders. By looking at this collection you shared, you really do get that quick overview.
It highlights just how many different types of participants and activities are shaping this market constantly, from the top down and from the bottom up.
Right. And that kind of leads to a final thought maybe for you listening, stemming from putting all these different headlines side by side. Consider how all these varied pieces, the corporate plans, the government proposals, the infrastructure integrations, those big anonymous whale moves, and the tough reality for traders like James, how they all coexist. How do they interact within this one super dynamic market? What does the combination of just these few headlines tell you about the state of crypto right now?
That's a great question to chew on. How do all these threads weave together?